We are tied up, ladies and gentlemen, 1-1 between Team Tempest and Team Ballistix here in the HGC Korea. We are in Week 6, or otherwise Phase 1, Part 2, Week 1, Day 1.
Match 2.
Match 2,
yes.
Game 3.
Yeah, lots of things to remember. And so far, 2 games that we have seen from both teams were pretty one-sided, actually.
Yeah, it was, game number 1 was total Shrekkening by Ballistix with the Hanzo pick, and then game 2, it felt like maybe if you look at it in a different light or you look at the game time, you think it wasn't a stomp, but based on the control that Ballistix took, or sorry, the control that was taken away from Ballistix by Tempest early on, it was a long game, but it was just like a constant loss on the side of Ballistix.
It's one of the shorter games in Dragonshire, actually, and Dami's Tracer has been so far, just with one game, what we have seen, pretty good, and Pulse Bomb really landing at the same time. Lockdown's Cassia pretty strong, as he oftentimes plays lots of range, and that's actually a little. And because of that, Ballistix, after dropping game 2, they will be having first ban, and we are going to that Inferno Shrine, and we still have to talk about Hanzo here.
Yeah, I mean the Hanzo pick was fantastic in game 1, but in game 2, they just lost control of the map, and the Cassia pick, as you were talking about, so phenomenal. The blinds were so critical. And, I mean, we can't stress it enough. We don't see a lot in Korea, and you and I talked about this a lot last year, but we don't see the top-level teams vary up picks very often in Korea. But recently, I feel like we've seen a lot of shifting in terms of which teams are the best. It's like not always obvious in the top 4 and then the top 3 especially. But we are seeing these adaptations. Adding a Cassia in the draft is something that Tempest probably wouldn't have done last year. What they do now, it wins them the game.
Only Miracle was the only one that actually liked Cassia over everything else, oftentimes.
Didn't go very well for them either.
Of course. After the initial 10 minutes, they started to fall apart the macro. But this time, even with the first ban, Ballistix is... They banned Maiev. I think they're trying to... Even if they have a first ban, they are trying to keep the same drafting style, because when they had a second ban, they had to ban Maiev, but they're actually putting that in front right now.
Yeah. Gonna be, looks like a Tyrael ban coming through, so 3 different first bans now for Tempest. Garrosh, Genji, and now Tyrael. Malfurion prioritized this time. This does leave Genji and Uther available. Strong pick for the map.
Genji Uther available, but which means that Hanzo will be in Ballistix's hand, SCSC's hands easily, just like in game number 1 draft. And of course, mobility in this map, super good, pairs up super well, those two.
Does Tempest take the Hanzo for the first time this series?
Lockdown plays a pretty decent Hanzo also. And on this map, when you're talking about picking up the numbers in the shrine, Hanzo's W can basically take their entire wave, I would say.
It's like you use Hanzo's W, it kills all the minions on the shrine, and then like ones before they even spawn.
Especially actually after 16, yes.
They're doing it.
If you go for that piercing at 16.
So adaptation here again. We're not willing to do this on Dragonshire. But this time after the 3rd game, even though they won game 2, they're just taking it away, not letting SC play it.
I like this, and they needed this at this timing. It is 1-1, tied up. Inferno Shrines, they need that Hanzo. Of course, Genji did not work out so well in game 1. And you lack that wave clear, and the camp timing is so important, as Ballistix has been on top of the macro. Of course, not in game 2, but because they were out laned so far, they couldn't really do any of the camp timings. It'll be a different story as Hanzo's away in Tempest hands right now. Ballistix, will they be thinking Genji themselves? I don't think so. Does not really pair up with Malfurion too well.
Yeah, no. Just looking at the last drafts from Eastern Clash, in their series against Tempest and losers finals, went to game 5 by the way. Super hype series. They did not play Tracer a single time. Ballistix, they were still on the Hanzo pick. And in the grand finals against KSV, I just want to check. They played Tracer twice, in Game 2 and in Game 7. Or I guess there is a Game 3, depending on how you want to look at it, because
there was
extra
no
game.
Yeah.
But anyway, this will be the 4th time they played it. I think in like recent patches. I don't even know if I don't have the data with me today, or I have it, but I'd have to flip through it and prepare to see if Tracer was played by them at all really before in the first few weeks of the season when she was gaining popularity. But what I'm trying to say is this is not a hero they excel at. It's not a hero that they play a lot. It's not a hero that suits their play style. But because the tables have kind of been turned upside down with the Hanzo Uther pick, they kind of have to play it now, and they're probably not going to feel too comfortable about that. So, Sonya as well will be played for the first time this series.
It is not the most common one coming out from Tempest, but they have played it before. Even when, especially when Hanzo just came around, they were picking up that Hanzo Uther pair up because they wanted Hanzo also Uther away from that Genji's hand.
Tastar works so well with
Tracer
Sonya, so kind of an unusual ban, but.
And Ballistix actually likes to run Tastar sometimes and look for a long game with that Twilight Archon available at 20.
See, Zheng'ai is throwing out a lot of ideas here, but I don't know what they are.
There's
been a lot of discussion here. Like, it's a second DPS or a tank is like the obvious choices, but it's going to be the second DPS Tychus ban. And they have a tanky solo laner, so this makes sense.
Tychus ban from Ballistix?
Yeah. How do you respond to the Sonya pick? Do you pick a Malthael into this? You've got Uther. You can Tormented Souls team fight. Obviously, it's not going to be very strong against Tracer, but if you
really want to go far and go look for that Dragon Strike potential, pick Leoric and have a really stable, safe laning phase against Sonya, and then join into team fight with the walk a lot quicker than Sonya does. I think that's also an okay approach, but Good does not really like to run Leoric as much. So I think Malthael is the better.
He's an aggressive solo laner. I think there's a way to gain value out of Uther, but I think that's going to be in the Malthael or the ETC. ETC comes through, so that in that way, Uther's Divine Shield can be utilized because Hanzo isn't going to gain much from it unless, with the exception of emergency situations or the occasional pulse bomb that's just too big to fail. That is going to kill him no matter what.
And this is another change that oftentimes Signs ETC was paired up with Blaze coming out from Good, but picking Leoric, which I said, but I wasn't really expecting too much. They're actually going to go for it. Very interesting. I think they just want to have some more slow and constant damage, and you can actually block and keep the pulse bombs away by hitting yourself. You can of course give up the kill and of course come back in the lane very soon, as Leoric can just do that with the trait.
I like a Nubrok here for Ballistix. Further give them better dive to deal with the Hanzo pick, and you can obviously disrupt ETC quite a lot with that.
Garros also pairs up pretty well, but
another blind here to be the answer for the auto attacks, but Gul'dan, not something I really expected. Gul'dan we saw mostly in Korea on this map, but still against double support to disrupt it using Horrify. A little bit odd, but don't want to judge it just yet. But it doesn't feel like there's a lot of synergy with Tracer. It's slow damage from Gul'dan, Shrine Control. Tracer's burst doesn't really come into that. But with Gul'dan, Sonya, and Johanna, and hell, even Malfurion, this draft is total Shrine Control focused. They want to win every objective, and that means whether they want to win it, whether they get there first or not. This comp does not need to get onto the shrine first to win it. They can poke their way in with sustained damage coming out from Gul'dan, Sonya, and Johanna. So very objective face composition.
Exactly. Even Leoric, Entomb can be a big tool when he comes around from the side, but Ballistix will not be even close to anything like ETC or Leoric for that Entomb range. I think that's why they picked cooldown. They don't wanna take risky positions, but also pick up numbers and take those objectives as you mentioned.
Well, I think the Junkrat pick is going to be great against Johanna's blinds. It's also going to be just a solid way overall to help clear those defenders and grab a few extra kills when the race gets tight. So a pretty reasonable DPS here. Not fantastic against anything else though. Like killing Gul'dan with the Junkrat's going to be a challenge. Sonya, Tracer, not really going to happen. But it's a solid pick otherwise, with Tychus removed and not a whole lot of other DPS options. What else could they realistically have picked on this map? Would have been like Li Ming, who's pretty bad here. So let's see how this one all pans out. As you say, good. Not normally known for his Leoric, but has played it a few times in the past.
Not the most. I think he played most of Blaze and Sonya, and maybe Leoric right after. But he's not the most passive passive solo laner like Jungha does. Jungha does a lot of Leoric. There's lots of Blaze, providing some even global sometimes as Dehaka.
I'm actually looking this up right now. So I want to know his pick rate on the hero. He's 75% win rate, 3-1 this season. And it was his third most played in 2017 at 8 games. So he's played career, well, I don't know about 2016, I don't have that data on it right now, but the last 2 years, 12 games of Leoric total in Korea.
Getting that link again.
Hanzo does so much damage, he feels like almost a soft counter to Tracer, because if she has no blinks and he's in range, it takes like 3 shots to kill her if she's damaged by anything at all.
And Tracer is so thin, actually it's pretty hard for Hanzo to do maximum damage against Tracer. Only if you're really good accurate with your Qs and Ws. And I think Nami can do just that. Let's see if Good can survive. No way. Tracer joins, extra damage. It's gonna be the first blood. Quick.
They're gonna grab this camp. Ballistix, can they look to invade? Nope, just gonna play more passively, so they ended up losing this trade. Tempest does have that respawn, so they could actually look to potentially invade. Not going to be the case though.
Of course, top lane matchup, Sonya is winning big time as the entire wave is basically pushed. Leoric just soaking up EXP, trying to defend. Sonya's actually coming down, looking for that potential flank from the side.
It's like just maybe a gank, but doesn't end up being anything. Impaler's dead for Tempest. Ballistix adding a lot of extra damage to this lane with that. And Mulligan threatening. Condemn wasn't the one he was looking for. Funny to watch SC just farming into the pulse bomb down here.
SC has been down here this entire time, so you can tell. 2 Qs from Gul'dan was actually the same amount of damage to the wave that Tracer took to 20 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly, I think that's also the reason why they brought Gul'dan. Their wave clear is so poor. Of course they have Sonya, but not going for that W for the slam at level 1.
Okay, well this shrine, this is where Ballistix comp shines, because they have so much control options with the AoE they have. Tracer, realistically the only hero that doesn't gain much from the shrine. She can threaten backline picks while Tempest has to kind of crash in there and take control. Sonya, arguably the best solo shriner in the game, maybe next to Kerrigan. SC just slowing down this rotation, and as you can see, Sonya is 4 times as successful at clearing this than Leoric at the moment, although he just steals a bunch. That was like the swing to end all swings. It's like she prepped all of them and then walked away, and he was like, thank you, I will queue them and catch up in 1 second. Sorry, Wolf, what were you saying again?
Well, about even a number only 4. That can always change. SDE trying to position himself. The only problem that he will be having is Junkrat. There's a pulse.
Not a kill though. It's going to be the counter kill onto him by Hanzo. They have a lead right now, and they can certainly still finish this, but Tempest is trying to prevent that. Magi being threatened right now by Lockdown, but Lockdown needs to be doing more damage than he is to make this happen. 4 more kills, 3 more. The defenders are all really far away from the edge.
They have more than enough time to pick 3 up. A single Q from Gul'dan can be enough. Just going in, thinking a little bit. There's a big power slide, maybe a kill onto Junghai even.
Okay, they have not gotten a single one.
37 to 37.
I think they're going to lose it, yep.
They dive all the way in.
Hyde goes down, but now they can't fight anymore. Punisher's out. Going to be a huge stun here in just a second. Tracer's dead again to Hanzo. I feel like Hanzo is just like the Tracer buster, man. If you're in range of Hanzo as Tracer, you're going to have a bad time, let's just say.
Yeah. Against the Tracer, it's really hard to hit all of the W, so going for that Q build.
Yeah, quite rare, actually. Redemption coming in. Very powerful, though. And you can see that every time Tracer tries to kill him, if the pulse doesn't kill him or whoever Tracer's target is, she has died every time. Both times.
I think
both deaths of Tracer.
With Uther, they just have enough burst healing and the armor. Maybe enough for Dami to survive every time.
SDE just missed so many of those defenders as well. Like, theoretically, that should have worked, but he was playing so scared, so passively. And they didn't have vision of the shrine, so he was kind of blindly throwing them out. I'm not trying to say he missed, like, wow, dude, like, Q better, bro. I'm saying, like, you know, he just didn't know where they were standing. They were not clumped up because Tempest walked them back.
The rest of the members from Tempest are okay, but the problem for Gul'dan is Junkrat. If he goes too close, he will be blown up and he will be thrown away to the side with the mine. And uh-oh, even Johanna cannot be too safe. Takes so much damage from that one power slide. And all the damage coming out from his teammates, of course.
To be honest with you, G-Club, because Tempest's comp is not really frontline based, and is more of a poking comp with the Hanzo Junkrat, I don't really think that Horrify is going to be very strong here. I don't think
Rain? Are you talking about no, right?
No, I'm not trying to suggest we're doing Rain. I'm just trying to say that normally the most important heroic out of all 10 is the Horrify, right?
I think it's just to cancel the mosh pit. I think that's just enough tool to cancel the mosh pit.
But my long-term point here is that Tempest, I think, has the much larger power spike at 10. Normally with a Gul'dan, you say like, well, all eyes on that at level 10. It could ruin every single combo. It can ruin every comp. It can destroy double support. But in this comp, like, I can't imagine it ever really hitting home. I can't imagine it ever being the reason why Hanzo or Junkrat dies, because the positioning has just been too good for Lockdown and Dami here. They've been really on point. So I think the 10 advantage goes to Tempest, who's already ahead in this game.
I think Ballistix still has a great chance, not just with the Horrify. If Sonya, with that Poison Spear, I think they are going for that kill with the Pulse Bomb. Sonya, Poison Spear hitting with the basic attack slam plus that Pulse Bomb. I think that may be enough to get a kill onto a Junkrat or Hanzo, either target. Should be fine, or at least draw out a Divine Shield from that. That would be the best case scenario to start off the team fight for Ballistix.
Yeah, in theory, like in a perfect world, certainly.
But I think it can happen, but so far Sign CTC has been peeling so well for the back line. He's not going in super aggressive. He knows that he has to be defending the back line all the time.
Look at what Ballistix is doing. They're trying to force a fight to come to them by harassing this fort. As Lockdown gets a knockoff on Junga over there to the fort. Could have been a disaster. That little jump there from Dami. Okay. Holy shock for the dismount. But going back to the mid here. Shrine's up. Ballistix, can they actually, with the better Shrine comp, finally secure it this time?
Got the fort by pushing with the camp this entire time. Good. When they were making that big rotation, Good has been pushing the top lane this whole time.
Okay, they need to secure this. They have the comp that's designed to do it. They cannot let it slip through their fingers again. Have a lead, but it's not that significant. Lockdown is stealing a lot of these right now. Look at how he's using his auto attacks. He's using them for theft.
And that's the perfect position to have your Rip Tire, and it's coming from the side. And Hyperion blows up even before that. Hanzo does get the kill with the Pulse Bomb, but look at that Mosh Pit. Sign is locking into it. There's no way of stopping that dance right now.
Horrify did nothing in that fight. And now Tempest is just going to get a nearly full team wipe. Did get the counter kill with SC there to at least eliminate Leoric, but the longer this goes, man, the more this does. SC has to back, which means that this keep is being damaged by a Shaman camp at 9 minutes into the game. Now they're going to have this mid-fort eliminated by this Arcane Punisher, strongest Punisher type on the map. Ballistix has quick respawn timers, but they're losing this game because they cannot win Shrine fights. And a lot of that's coming down to Sign, like you say. Like, he's definitely been the MVP. His positioning has prevented aggressive picks from Tracer and has scared Gul'dan into a position where he's not getting as many defender kills as he would like to.
At least in the last one. And actually Joanna coming out from the side. They're looking for potentially a pick on the lockdown. That's the first one. Focusing on to hide, makes an escape. Punisher actually delaying SD so much in the back.
Redemption's done. Hanzo's going to do a lot of damage. It's eating some of that damage. The fort's down, but there's a lot of damage coming through with these arcane spinny circles things that aren't officially named. Please name those blizzards so that as a caster I can describe them.
The purple laser merry-go-round things.
Like, what is that? What is that called? There's not a name for that.
I'm pretty sure Gilly knows.
Gilly would be the only person to know if anyone knows. She asked one of the developers probably, and they told her, and she's the only one who knows because she knows the name of everything in this game. She could probably tell you like the name of like what type of fire is under that line of sight blocker event right there. But I can't tell you guys. I don't know. I don't like it. The arcane
Sentries.
Sentry, I don't know. They took my sentry turret out of the game, and now I don't know what to do.
We'll see. Corruption stacks completed at 10:54. Pretty good at level 14. So that's also a thing now. That's also a big power spike for Gul'dan. Ballistix they were lacking some damage when Tempest was basically having the engage. When they make an engage, it is the perfect time to throw down the corruption to have that maximum damage along with the Horrify.
Yeah, this has been a passive moment in this game because Ballistix can't capitalize on anything. We're at a level of play in Heroes of the Storm now when someone gets ahead and has map vision control and a talent tier advantage. You just don't mess with that.
You just
can't.
Like, you just don't fight.
And then the team that's ahead gets further ahead. And like, we saw this last time. Like last game, I think Ballistix may be forced to fight, but this time that fight needs to be on a shrine, not on a mercenary camp. So during this interim, during this period of time between now and then, they just have to play passively, and they may just have to accept they're going to lose this fort. If Tempest wants it, they have to give it up. I rotate mid though, looking for maybe a more wave push controlling the mid lane. The next shrine is going to be bottom, so it's not make or break. Like, it's not going to threaten a keep. Luckily for Ballistix. So that losing this one would be probably the least significant one they've lost so far.
Both teams being super passive as Ballistix need to hit 16. Tempest, they're taking the lead, so they don't need to risk anything because Ballistix was about to hit 16 anyhow. So this is going to continue with the lane, but this Shrine phase will change everything. So far, Tempest has been winning the Shrine fights. They have been taking the positions. Even Ballistix, when they had the poke, because of the positioning, they were trying to, when Ballistix was trying to come in a little bit, they were able to get picks. As CSC, he has sniped Hanzo once in the last Shrine fight. Let's see if he can do it again once more.
It's the idea. The rotation here by Ballistix faster. They started instantly trying to utilize this comp again. Those lockdowns positioning again just to the left of this tree, basically this little triangle to have maximum amount of damage.
Look at that corruption damage to the back line.
Very much a successful trade here for Ballistix, and for the first time they really control this.
I think Tempest is almost giving up, or are they going in, Signs going in?
Going in, looking for this fight.
Taking
Risky
too
what
much
Tempest is
damage
doing.
though.
Yeah, really risky what they're doing right now.
Yeruk sustaining. Magi is tossed with
Oh,
the mine.
great grenade!
Oh, Ice Block. He survives that.
And partially due to the Horrify here, the Mosh is a double though. So much damage coming through from Dom, who's got that redemption finish, and he is going to clean house. He needs to survive a bit longer though. You can see how much damage he could do. He could turn this fight if he had any peel, but he does not. And at the end of the day, I feel like this was a massive mistake by Tempest to look for a fight against a comp that always was going to be better in terms of shrine control, even though they failed the first 2 shrines. When they're ahead by 20 defenders, are you really going to try to force that fight when you don't need to, when you're massively ahead?
And I think Ballistix was close to like 32 when Sign was about to engage. And with just few flames from Gul'dan, that can be enough. I think Tempest could have waited for that moment. They had the fort, they had the keep. Now, because of the kills, they are risking this keep to be gone now.
It's definitely going to be dead. Jungha just doesn't care about damage coming at him right now with his
Punisher is
Fury.
very healthy. They're going into the core. They're not close to 20 yet, but still 2 seconds on to, and Mosh Pit is still on cooldown.
Okay. Frozen Punisher distracted at the moment by that mid keep and the pull that Good had. It doesn't look like Ballistix can actually end here, although they turn on it again. Punisher distracted once more. They're going for the core though. Jungha doing a majority of the damage. Riptire coming out. SC would be the primary target. Looking for something more juicy on the
Tranquility, the core is so low. I think they have enough. They have more than enough. They have all the members. Of course, Tracer goes down, but that's going to be game. They took so much time to defend that core.
Very impressive execution by Ballistix in that last fight. And Tempest threw the game essentially by looking for that fight into the Horrify, into all that cooldown corruption damage with Echo Corruption. There was no reason to force that fight. If you have a better defensive setup when the Punisher walks down bot, you can defend it. But if you lose members and lose the Punisher, it's going to be a much worse situation. I can understand the frustration given that that was the best lane for Ballistix to actually capitalize on a Punisher. So they wanted to take it away. The Punisher was what won them the game, but I think if they played a safer approach to dealing with that, looked for a better setup when the Punisher was out, I think they might have had a better shot. Either way, match point now on the side of Ballistix. They are the closest.
Look at
this
the
game
damage.
Stats. We are the
from
closest.
Junkrat and Hanzo too.
I want to look at Dami. Yeah, 45.7, but SDE did more at the end of the day with his 3, 6, and 1. So this is the closest we have ever been to Tempest being defeated this season.
I think they were close, but they're making those weird. When they don't have to fight, they actually go in and engage. It costed them big in game number 2 almost. They almost threw that big time. Of course, they got some trade-off because in the Dragonshire when they on the left night camp when they almost made a big mistake by engaging in when they didn't have to. This time again, I think that happened again. At the same time, when they got bit mosh pit, it was also okay, but when they're clumped up all together, it is the best time for Gul'dan to do the maximum damage onto most targets. And I think that's something else that they have to take into mind when they used Junkrat used all the abilities, all the damage, basically to kill Magi. That was not a success.
Horrify was good. It wasn't what they used to turn fights normally, but it was helpful in peel in this last scenario. And the Gul'dan pick has always been good on this map. It's rare nowadays, but proving again that it's very much viable. Very similar to Junkrat in terms of how they function on this map, but that last fight won the entire game for Ballistix, and I'm trying to figure out where we would go next.